a new center at BSN, which is founded by Hofstede Insights and Chint Solar. And basically, we are setting up a center where our alumni, but our corporate clients and other organizations from society can meet to share insights and to create some new practical knowledge. And this seminar series every Tuesday morning is one of the first initiatives of the Impact Center for Great Leadership. We will today discuss personal transformation to meet the changing demands in the world. As we all know, life is changing every day because there are always new challenges for us, but also there is a long trend of the new technology revolution. So it is extremely important for people to be up to date and to transform to this new world. That is the topic of today. And I'm very glad that our associate professor Isolde Kolkhuis is going to tell us more about how she sees personal transformation and what type of personal transformation she considers most important. And then Ivo van Geloven will reflect on the presentation of Isolde. So Isolde, I would say over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Annette. So it's really an honor to be here tomorrow in the first edition of Good Morning BSN. And yeah, I hope you all sitting there relaxed and finally in a learning modus till 9 o'clock. And I suppose I heard already Minke saying this, that afterwards it will be really busy. So maybe you're managing things, solving problems. And yeah, finally, that is something we have to talk about. Arthur, maybe you can present the first slide. Thanks. The second. Yeah, because managers and problem solving, yeah, it's maybe the essential part of your job. People asking you all the day all kind of questions, or they present you all kind of problems, and they're really happy when you are the manager who is in a quick mode to solve it. And yeah, often also the senior management appreciates you too when you're really working hard on the problem solving and getting results and KPIs and whatever. But there's another side of this way of working, and that's what I would like to talk about, because there's also research that showed us that managers, maybe they have too much a quick fix mindset. So there's the research of Robinson and her colleagues, and she, what's interesting is in this research is that she says that they say that when managers are faced with a problem, they notice it as a problem, but they quickly shift to their well-known solutions. So what's familiar to them, what's their favorite solution, and they just stick it on the problem. And what happens, and that's what the research showed really well, is that they forget to do a good analysis of the problem. And that's the most important part, they don't test their own assumptions behind their solution. So they really think quickly, oh, I've seen this before. This is what's the truth. This is how it works. So it will be a good solution. And often it works well. For some more simple problems, it's fine. But as Annette already said, the problems of today, they're much more complex. And in the end, this way of working will not be a good one. Yeah, then what happens is that you're going to be like in the picture under in the slides, like problem, solution, again, problem, solution. And so, yeah, you're going in circles and with new problems. It's not working finally. That's what we have to face. But then it's interesting because we have a lot of comments on managers and and we can see what they're doing, what they could do better, but we do not often offer them some kind of suggestions how to do it in a different way. So I would like to present you from different researchers a few points that show you, and I hope you recognize them for a part, but they show you what would be essential for managers or leaders as learners, especially leaders as learners, as I say it, for being confronted with problems of the future. So maybe Arthur, you could show me the next slide. And that's especially what I would like to say to you in transformation. So when we started with managers as problem solvers, as people who are really decisive in their action, I would press that leaders as learners is maybe more essential for the future. And what does it mean concrete? In the first place, it means that you have to stay curious and inquiring. So this means that it starts with every problem, finally, that you ask yourself, what are your practical theories? So what's your favorite mode to handle them? And being curious to look if it's, what's more, being open-minded, let yourself surprise different points of view, different insights, different ideas, and that brings you in a short while already to the second point. Go beyond your own taken for granted assumptions. So this is really the big part of the transformation, and it's really more complex than it seems in this sentence, because you have to leave your favorite way of being decisive, always acting, solving problems, things like that's what you're appreciated for it, but you have to take time and to reflect on especially on your taken for granted assumptions. Are they true in this situation? And are they, do they bring you different and new ideas? It helps a lot when you really are aware of point 3, and to involve always different perspectives, especially from a diversity of people. So when you want to be decisive, it's most easy and it's most comfortable to ask the people around you that are familiar to you, or maybe your colleagues or whatever. But just ask the diversity of people and employees, especially the critical ones who say, no, you're wrong, you don't see it right. Because they bring you the new perspectives, and also a theory and research. As I'm really grateful that you learn this on the BSN programs, to use theory and research and all kind of insights that are already there. They don't just fit on your problem, but you can try to make them applicable to your problem. So that's another real important thing. And what you learn at BSN, it's maybe the most important thing. Always ask critical questions. You learn it from the viewpoint of action learning, how to ask insightful questions and go in on a deeper level of the problem. So when we see a problem, when we face it, we see the surface of the problem, but the underlying patterns that maintain the problem at the long term, so that it returns time by time again. we don't go that far often. And you need the critical questions, and also point 3, the different perspectives, to really go on the deeper level and to find a breakthrough in the hardness of this underlying pattern. Then so we are researching a lot and reflecting and things like that, but then we come to another point. Only talking and reflecting and thinking doesn't help us any further. We have to act also. So experiment with something new, just do it in a really small setting. I was surprised by another research about learning from failures, and we really have to learn from failures, because failing is not a nice thing. We try to avoid it, but another research showed us that it's a neuroscience research that says, yeah, the brain only learns from deviations from what you expect and from failures. When everything is going smooth, the brain is also going in a smooth way, except the work pressure that you are really trying to do things efficient and quick, but it is not really working in your brain. So you have to fail to create deviations to really learn new things. I understand it when it is sometimes tricky to just try, especially in complex problems or riskful situations, but just experiment in a small, less riskful situation, and you can learn as well. And then, after it, I proposed this the slogan "Leaders as Learners," and that's also underlined in a lot of research that when the leader is in a growth mindset, like we know the term from Carol Dweck. So the growth mindset was concentrated on trying and learning instead of the fixed mindset was always going for the safe mode. So when leaders are in a growth mindset themselves, they are an example for their employees. So the influence is finally a lot bigger than only the learning modus of themselves. And when they are this example to others, it stimulates also the employees to try to take a risk sometimes, to try something new. So not as a leader, ask people to do the things that they always do, always the same trick, but to try something that they don't know at forehand how to do it, but to try and to learn. And that's what we need for the future, to have a group of people, to have employees, to have an organization that tries new things, get new insights, learns, and finally this is what we need to be able to when we are confronted with the problems of the future, and to be innovative for the future. So that's what I would like to give you in this short while as a message. Maybe it's not new in every part, and we say, oh yeah, we know it, we know how to do, and we know this is important. But the most difficult thing is just to do it. And at 9 o'clock, when you are going to your work and start working today, maybe there's the pitfall is really big to do like you always do. And I would like to ask you, just take one of these 6 points today and just do it, and try to make it break through also in your normal routines, what you are yourself maybe that you feel tended to do that, but also other people always appel on you to do the things that they expect from you, as you always do, maybe. So this is what I would like to say. And Annette, I think I'm really good in time.
Very good. And thank you for your presentation. I see some questions coming into the chat, which is great. And we will pick them up later on. I have a question for you, Isolde. As you mentioned, there is this sort of tension of wanting to move forward and not to delay things as a manager or as a leader. How do you know when a problem needs the attention you are just showing us? And how do you know when something which comes up is simple and you can do as you've always done?
Yeah. Now, I would say just always ask the question, like the point two. So to always ask yourself, am I doing the thing I always do? Am I using my taken for granted assumptions? So it's really good to have it as a nature of yourself to be reflective on this question. Does this assumption fits in this situation? But when you are looking for a sign, like you asked me, then I often ask leaders to reflect on, is this problem a problem that's always coming back in another way of how we observe it? So there are problems that all the time they pop up again, maybe in another form, in another way, so that you don't see it quite quick. But oh, this is again, for example, work pressure and a shortage of personnel, like we have in the Netherlands. And then we try to get new people. We try to get new people and new employees, but in a short while, we have the problem again because people leave, for example, in 6 months. Then you can ask after sometimes yourself, what's happening? We are focusing on getting new people, but what does happen in the back? Why do people leave? I have a few dissertations at this moment of students of BSN who focused on this issue, and then the problems is really another way of exposing itself to ourselves. I hope I say it in the right English.
Okay, thank you. Let us turn now to Ivo. Ivo, you are working at ING, one of the bigger banks in the Netherlands.
True, yes.
What is your experience in this? How would you reflect on what Isolde is advising us to do?
Well, to give a reflection on what Isolde said, I've taken an example from my daily work. First of all, through my MBA education, I graduated in December last year. I've learned how to approach a problem, not only in theory, but also in practice. And one of the urgent problems I came up with recently, we had the next problem. It was the lack of employees who could progress to the highest skill level, preventing us from delivering on our service promise to our customers and achieving our market share of 14.5%. My assumption was that we didn't have suitable employees within the organization and that an accelerated program would solve all our problems. Well, in collaboration with trainers and a group of highly experienced employees, I organized a couple of sessions to further explore the problem and come up with solutions. From this, a skill passport was created, revealing that newly hired employees were not learning how to write a motivation statement or a justification for a mortgage application. And this component is essential for progressing to the highest skill level. The solution involved implementing a skills passport and developing a new training program that focuses on teaching this crucial aspect to new employees. Additionally, an accelerated program was designed to facilitate the quick progression of talented individuals to the highest skill level. This program will be tested with a select group of employees, so we gather feedback to improve the training program and eventually roll it out to 220 FTEs. By taking the time to organize the sessions and analyze the skills passport, we gained valuable insights into the specific needs and challenges of our employees. It became clear that a comprehensive approach was necessary to address the underlying problem, ensuring that we fulfill our service promise to our customers and increase our market share. Simultaneously, the accelerated program was implemented as a target initiative to accelerate the advancement of our most promising talents. These talents would benefit from a pathway to acquiring the highest skill within our organization. By investing in their growth, we aim to retain top talents and increase our market share to 14.5%. To ensure the effectiveness of the program and the newly developed training, we will begin with a pilot group of employees. This will allow us to gather the feedback and make necessary adjustments and fine-tune the program before scaling out. By taking a more holistic and strategic approach, we not only addressed the immediate problem of skill shortages, but also laid the foundation for long-term success. We recognize that sustainable growth and maintaining our market share required investing in the development of our employees, providing them with the necessary tools and opportunities to thrive. When I'm looking back, I'm grateful for the insights gained through the collaboration of trainers and experienced employees. It taught me the importance of a good analysis, understanding individual differences, and implementing tailored solutions to drive meaningful change within an organization. And I think, looking at the story of Isolde, 6 of the points he mentioned, you will see them back in my story, which works in your daily work. And then for me, this is my reflection on what Isolde told. I don't know if you got any questions for me or anybody else.
Yeah, I have a question for you, Ivo, and we turn to all the other questions. So please keep asking questions in the chat later on. Ivo, it looks like it was very successful to use this accelerated program to get a real change in the skills to service your clients.
Yeah.
But there must have been a sort of in-between time when people were on the program and you could still not deliver to the customers. So there is the need of speed to handle your customers, and at the same time, there's a need for slowing down for the longer term. What did you do in the meantime? How did you address this?
What we did in the meantime was you're trying out. So we made a program. We took a couple of employees. They follow it, and you try new things out. Does it work? If it doesn't work, what's the solution to make it work? And from there, you improve your program, and that's what you do in the meantime. Second thing is your stakeholders. You have to inform the most important stakeholders about the progress of the program and giving them an idea when you will be finished and what will be the solution at the end.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Isolde, John Lodder has a question for you. Which neuroscience research did you read or do you know of which tells us to learn that we can really learn from failures?
Yeah, that's I was already looking to the chat, so I know it. It's by Waltman. It's Dutch. It's Dutch literature, and we always have in the Netherlands Margriet Sitskoorn. She's a neuroscientist too, and they have projected their knowledge about our brains on working situations. What I like is the book Brain at Work, Brain at Work, do I say it? But it's a Dutch book. But I think when you looking for Waltman, then you find also articles in international journals. What he says is that the brain is always looking for the what I said, the deviation. So for example, as a child, when you learn also by just doing and then falling or burn your hand or whatever, and then it makes your brain sharp in the modus of, hey, I have to do difference. And when it's all peaceful, then you always learn all day, of course, but not really new insights. That's what I wanted to say.
And Isolde, we often talk about people who work in companies or at least in the private sector. What happens if you start experimenting and take the long approach if you are in a governmental organization? So Godfrey asks us, will I not put my job at risk then? How can I convince the organization that this is the best way?
Then you're already on the deeper level, on the deeper level of a problem, because as I, it's my assumption, as I understood the question, but please react if I'm wrong, is that as a leader or a manager in such an organization, you don't feel free to experiment, or you feel fear to make a failure. And there are failures that really must not happen. For example, like we call it high reliability organizations, like in aircraft or whatever. So then the consequences are really big. But always there are smaller, less riskful parts also in organizations where there are more there's more urgency to avoid risks. So there's always room to experiment. But when you feel like I cannot experiment at all, not at all, then you have to question yourself, what kind of culture do we have here together? What's the punishment when you make a failure? And you really have to discuss this, maybe beginning in a small group, or just trying, but you have to make it discussable. But because in the end, it will not bring you any further when you always try to avoid failure. You're stuck as an organization. Is this an answer?
Now we can only ask the person who asks. Is this a good answer?
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Godfrey from Zambia, and I've gotten her answer. She has able handled it, and I'm happy about what she has given, that you have to start small, in small groups, and then probably from there you learn lessons. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Because it fits nice with the action learning way of thinking, what we learn at your MBA. Just try and form yourself a group with people to bring a movement anyway, and not make it too big sometimes. I thank you for your question.
Thank you so much.
Can I ask you another question, Godfrey? What do you have in mind that it is you want to change using the method Isolde has just explained to us?
Yeah, about the system in government where you work with a certain group. Of course, you have certain documentation that guides you on how you're supposed to operate on a daily basis and on how to approach certain problems and challenges. What I would want to change is probably the culture of how we approach government work and service delivery to the people. How best can we tackle this certain challenges in an event that you don't even have the resources to carry out that activity? In most cases, we carry out activity based on what has been aligned for you by HQ in a different location, and they've said, this is how you're going to implement this program, and this is the finances. Now, in an event that you don't have resources, in most cases, we have found that we are not doing anything but waiting for the time when they will give you resources for you to carry out certain activities and to carry out certain services. But in this case, what I would want to change is a situation where you don't have resources. There should be a way of going around it and do the service and offer that service to the people, to the needy and the vulnerable who need that service at that particular time, with or without resources. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Godfrey. I think that's a pretty big challenge you have on your hands. So good luck with finding a good and long-term solution.
Thank you so much.
Isolde, in the chat, there is again this question we briefly discussed when we talked to Ivo about the pressure between wanting to solve something and need some time to really handle the things well. The question is, I'm often troubled about the speech of reality. We need to solve issues fast, so we don't have room to experiment and take time to make conclusions. How would you go about this time pressure issue?
Yeah, of course, I recognize the time pressure. It's everywhere. At least in the Netherlands, I see it everywhere in organizations. So we have to face it. But the problem is that it is like a vicious circle. Like we are, for our feeling, we are doing good to just really hurry and make solution by solution. But finally, when it's not a good solution, we have to repair a lot of things afterwards, or that problem that's coming up again time after time. So that takes time too. And it's really asked for a sort of different mindsets, and especially also taking a small group with you to force it and to make a breakthrough in the way of acting. That you really just sometimes you, how do you say it? Opeisen, Annette, please help me.
Demand?
Yeah, demand. Yeah, you demand the time to make a stop now like this and to make a time out and to think and to discuss together what's really going on here. And so that's what you have to do sometimes, and just maybe try. That's why I was asking for the experiments. Just do it on a small scale, maybe like we call it onder het maaiveld. So that's not so that visible, but just do something. Don't make it too big. Then, but I will not. Yeah, I see that. I see the work pressure also but it must not be leading for how we act, even when we know that the way we act is not helpful for the future. So the short term and the long term always is in tension with each other.
And Ivo, in your case, you already mentioned what you've tried to do to fill this gap between acting fast and finding a solution.
Yeah.
Do you see that that was a period of anxiety at your management because it took too long, or what are the lessons learned? Were you confident about that you covered that interim period in a good manner?
Yes, it's actually the question of Marco. What I always do is to my manager and senior management is make a decision sheet. So let them see what is the problem, what are the solutions, so they can pick. And most of the time they pick the solution that's included with an experiment, a pilot or anything to test it out. They know if you don't test it and you implement a solution of which you don't know if it works, they got a problem too. So I always use decision sheets to make it clear, this is the problem. If you don't do anything, this is going to be the end phase, and these are the solutions to it. That works for me.
And businesses are all commercial entities.
Yeah.
Do you also make a cost benefit of having a fixed, fast solution and opposed to a longer term solution?
Yeah, if it's possible, I always will make a business case, showing them what are the costs and the revenues. But it doesn't always work. But if it's possible, yes, I do. And leave the decision with senior management.
And what is your experience? Are the benefits outweighing the costs more in the longer term solution or the short term?
Yeah, I don't know if it's fair. We do mortgages, and the revenues are really high. So the business case always works at the short and the long term. But my experience from the past is most of the time the revenues at the longer term are good, and at the short term you make a loss. But then again, and still make the decision sheet and show what's going to happen, so your senior management can take a good decision.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you also to Isolde for kicking off our first Good Morning BSN. It is 8:53. So you have a few moments before your working day starts. I hope you enjoyed this first session, and we hope to see you again next week. So bye for now.